The kind of coach that they needed at that moment. Zack Moss. Moss still on his feet, and he is in. Touchdown.
New team, what is the biggest thing you have to figure out through OTAs?
I think, the quarterback's tendencies, what he likes, what he doesn't like, kind of understand your offensive line, especially when you're running back, and kind of see what's guys' strong suits and, weaknesses and things like that. So, that's kind of what I've always paid attention to. Been no different. It's been real good so far, learning these guys and giving them a chance to learn me as well.
What have you learned about Joe so far?
All business type of guy, which I love.
I have with me today Mr. Zack Moss. What's up, fam?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for taking some time. I'm sure y'all recognize the name right off the jump. If you don't, Zack is currently an NFL running back. He was drafted in 2020. How would you describe yourself as a running back? And tell me a little bit about your time in Buffalo.
I think, first just, talking about myself as a back, I think I am a guy. I like to see myself, prepare and train to be a guy who can do everything on the field, as in being on the field each and every down, not having a weakness where I have to come off the field. Whether that's catching the ball, obviously running the ball, and pass blocking, which is huge in our league right now because everybody loves to throw the ball, and you got the main guy who is the quarterback, so you got to keep him clean, keep him healthy. We're kind of an extension of the offensive line, so I take a lot of pride in that as well. But I think my running style is just downhill, hard to tackle. That's the way I try to go into a game, set the tone and things like that. And it's easier to do that when you're kind of the guy in a sense, when you're getting more of the carries and not only, maybe 6 to 8 carries a game, which is hard to get into that mold and get into that vibe. And, it's the whole thing. But that's definitely my play style is downhill, hard nose, tough tackle, grinder. And that's all the way I've always played the game from when I started playing running back in my senior year in high school is when I officially started playing running back.
Oh, really? Is that when you started playing? Is that when you started playing football or just running back?
Just running back. I started playing football when I was about 10, but I always played linebacker.
All right.
Yeah, I was a super late bloomer. Didn't really have a lot of. I wouldn't say about love, but I wasn't. I wasn't so deep into football. Like growing up in Miami, I wasn't deep into football like everybody else. Kids my age was at that time.
That always blows my mind, man. When I see somebody as talented as you are, and I hear somebody always say, they'll say like, oh man, I didn't start playing until X, or like you didn't start playing running back until senior year of high school. And I mean, you're in the National Football League, man. And in my opinion, one of the best backs. It's crazy, and were you playing other sports?
No, strictly football. I have a huge love for basketball. That's more just like a hobby. But football was the main thing I was doing. Kind of was just playing linebacker, kind of just going through it. Didn't really, think about the NFL, honestly. Didn't really think about college in a sense until my junior year when I first got my first tryout to play running back.
Okay.
And, things went kind of well, but I had 2 guys beat me out, 2 seniors my junior year. So I just played running back very sparingly, probably, 20% of the season, and the other 80 was playing linebacker. So then I ended up transferring out of that school and went to go play somewhere else and play running back for the first full season ever. And ended up, having a good season around a lot of great talented players as well. But so definitely that's just how I started playing. The guys I watched was Arian Foster, Marshawn Lynch, just guys who got downhill real quick. Yeah. Not the prettiest. All that type of stuff. But just those were the guys that I watched that I modeled my game after. I thought I had, at that time, was going to grow into a similar body type and could see myself doing those things. So that's definitely where my game was at. Buffalo, my time in Buffalo was great. No matter what, it was great from the standpoint of, I think, one, just the people I was able to meet. When you come into the NFL, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And at my time when I came in, it was way more going on. You're talking about, national anthem things. Do you still kneel? You don't kneel? That was crazy for me coming in. And then obviously on top of that was COVID. I played 2 years technically in COVID, and my first year was rookie year, and we didn't have any fans in the stadium, and like just nothing. So my first full year of experience was, it's hard to kind of explain because no one else, unless you literally probably was a rookie, or in the league at that time, could
Right.
even imagine how that is and how that went.
Yeah,
But
that's got to
I
be
think,
that's got to be mentally tough, right? I mean, trying to go out there and perform for fans, but there's no fans there.
yeah, I mean, for me, I don't ever try to perform for fans. I always try to
Okay.
perform for for myself, for my family. So when no fans, it was weird because you always grow up just having people in the stands.
Yeah.
But not having fans, I think for me at least, I can't speak, obviously for all players, but for me, the main thing was always the main thing was to go out there and try to be the best player I can be on that Sunday or whatever day it was. But Buffalo was good from the people I met, the relationships I built, teammates, the staff in Buffalo, the trainers, just everybody, weight room guys, like just everybody that I met, that kind of helped mold me into becoming a better player for one, and just kind of learning to understanding the business of the NFL and
Yeah.
kind of seeing that through that lens. And it was great because I was on a team that was winning, right? So
Right.
obviously, we were winning at that time, and they still are winning. But so we had done a lot of good things in those 2 3 year run, and that helped speed up a lot of things for me and realize what's going on around here and the time limit that you have as a player technically. But I think from that standpoint it was great. Wouldn't take anything back. Obviously on the field, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Obviously, I didn't feel like I was used well. But that's that can be chalked up to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
That in the past, I don't really ever try to dwell on that anymore.
Right. Right. Right.
Obviously, the things that I went through in Buffalo from, the lack of carries, the lack of playing time, the offense that I was in. Obviously, the offense is mainly, when you play with a guy like Josh, and Josh is
Right.
a hell of a talent. When you play with a guy like Josh, it's very hard. And I can say this because I've been there,
Of
and
course.
anybody with two eyes could see, when you play with Josh, the offense has to kind of shift to him,
Of course.
right? Because he's so good and he can do so many things,
Right. Right.
right? And the past two OCs that were there, obviously, and Dabo, who's a hell of a coach, knew how to use Josh perfectly, right? And I mean, at the time, nobody had seen what he was doing, so it was kind of all brand new in a sense. Um, and then obviously, when Dorsey followed suit behind that, it kind of got a little, I think, a little stale on the offense on how dressing it up, and
Yeah.
it's like every week you got to figure out a way to hide new plays, to hide verbiage.
It's got
It's
to be
always a new
fresh.
way.
It's got to be fresh again, right? I mean,
Yeah, because TV copies, all the film that guys watch, formations and things of that nature. So I think it got a little stale, and obviously when they moved on from him, when I can't remember his name, Joe Brady came in,
yeah,
they started using James a lot more, and James is a hell of a player, man.
he
James is
is.
from Miami. I've known him for a while. Obviously
Okay.
playing, probably grew up less than 10 minutes away from each other.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah, so when they started using James Moore, I was like, man, I wish, that was the style that we were playing with,
I know. I
right?
know.
And, and for James, like you see him have 1,000 yards, right? And you see him have 1,000 yards, and then you see him only have probably 2 touchdowns rushing,
Right.
right? Because that's just the offense. The offense is
Right.
so hard for a running back to really flourish in that offense the way you may think they should or could. It was games where James was getting a few carries, and then it moved on from Dorsey and things changed, and then became a lot more run dominant, and even Diggs got phased out of the offense, which was
Right.
crazy,
Right.
and
He
that's
did. Yeah.
because he got pulled back so hard from being so explosive, which then also leads to turnovers, right? And playing a certain style of ball, right? Because the defense wasn't helping. Lost a lot of guys in defense. So
Yeah.
I
Ton.
think it was so different. But I'm happy to I was happy to see James, eclipse 1,000 yards and then use the backs kind of the way that I wish they would have used me and Motor in a sense. But I think everything happened for a reason.
Sure.
Obviously, I've gone on to do different things now. Obviously, Motor's been terrific in Houston and things of that nature. So,
Yep.
we always knew that we can play at this level was never, not a thing of bad. I think, this league is all about opportunity, man. It's just, it's just like the real world. You
Right.
can't really move up in your job unless you have opportunity, right, to show what you can do. So, without opportunity, you can't really get that much success going on. But yeah, I think overall, Buffalo was great just from standpoint of growing up, just my own personal life, becoming better, becoming smarter, doing different things across the league, and now going into year 5. It's
Year
such a
5.
different.
Wow, it's year 5 already.
Yeah, it's kind of moving kind of fast.
It does. I mean, listening to you say all this stuff, and there was so many. I was trying to gather my thoughts because there was so many things that you hit, the nail on the head, man. And so many of your thoughts, I share the same sentiment, right down to the usage of Cook, to your usage. And I can tell that you're just an absolute student of the game. For you to be that knowledgeable with the current offense on a team you're not even on just says you're such a football mentality. It's crazy, and it's really impressive. And I got to say, man, like, there's a lot of things I respect about you. You stayed the extra year at Utah, right? I know that I think you went back and you got the degree after, but you stayed the extra year. And that was a pride thing, from what it sounds like, you wanted to go and complete it. And you had some unfinished business. It sounds like, man, you shattered every record over there and just really, showed what type of back you are. And I think that says a lot about somebody too, though, as a person, right? You knew that going in after your junior year, you were going to get drafted, man, for sure. But you stayed and you finished out that year. And I guess maybe starting running back later in high school, do you think that preserved you a whole lot? I mean, do you think, you weren't running since you were running, you were playing linebacker, but not being a running back, do you think maybe that preserved you a little bit and that helped you out?
Yeah, it definitely did. If I look back on it, I'm like, if I played running back from, some guys and, from 12 years old to
Yeah.
now, watching YouTube and trying to add different things to my tool belt and just kind of experiencing what I had with the skills and the talent that I had at that
Yeah.
time. And then when I got to college, being in that type of program at Utah, which taught me a lot of hard work real quick.
Yeah.
I couldn't take that, that mindset I had in Miami and, oh, I'm the best, even if I felt like that,
Right.
and just apply that, and I add the hard work to it and the consistency and the dedication that is going to take to get where I want to get to. And, going to Utah, it gave me the opportunity to have those things bestowed upon me, right? Just like being around guys that really work super hard, right?
Yeah.
Utah is not a program, and it's getting to that point now. But in 2016, it wasn't a program where you just run around with 5-star guys who
Right.
can just wake up and do whatever on the field. Like these guys that I was coming in with or playing with that were already there were guys that may have been overlooked.
They all had something to prove. Yeah, they're all yeah. Yep.
So guys just worked really, really, really hard. And, I knew I had a lot of talent that was untapped. So, I just got around some guys that were older than me in my room or guys that just were
Smart.
older that I looked up to.
Smart.
And just try to work. Obviously I had a lot of learning curves as a freshman. But I learned so much from just, starting 2 games as a true freshman and then getting hurt, sitting back, and losing that position, and then kind of just being the second back the rest of my freshman year. But all that anger, all that, just like I want to play. The learning that it took, and okay, now let's learn to take care of your body, things of that nature. I had time to sit back and learn those other things. That was great for me. That now, when I look back at it, I'm like, man, my freshman year was my greatest year because I ended up learning way more than running for 1,000 yards, right?
Right.
Just being able to understand the different things, the nuances of the position, and really taking time out.
And not to interrupt you, but I think people, they don't understand that. They'll look at it and say, there's some people that are just stat heads and they're so obsessed with stats and numbers, and they don't see that, hey, taking a year and learning, from some more experienced players and even grasping an offense, right? So that you can really get a good grip on it, come in the next year and be like, man, I know this, I'm going to go out and prove it now because I can do this, So yeah, man, I mean, you're everything you did speaks for itself as far as Utah goes. And, again, I like your attitude even with Buffalo, right? No regrets, man. You came here, you met some friends, it gave you the opportunity now to get to where you are now. congratulations on the season you had last year, man. I followed it very, very closely because I am a fan of yours. So I did follow it closely. And, I think nobody ever wants anybody to get hurt, right? As a human being, at least most of us don't. I mean, but when you have that opportunity to seize, and let me tell you, man, you grabbed hold of it and you showed a lot of people, what you're truly capable of that didn't get to see it in Buffalo. Tell me a little bit about, how this season was for you. Do you feel like you finally got, your shot, your shot to shine here a little bit? Tell me how the Indy season went.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I got traded to Indy, I didn't know how it was going to go. Obviously, I knew we had JT there, and obviously we're in the same draft class, and I knew what JT did in college, and I know what he's already doing in the league.
Right.
Played him twice in the league up to that point, and he dominated us both times. One game he had like 5 touchdowns in Buffalo.
I
So
remember.
from that standpoint, when I remember when I got traded, and most people don't know we were asking for a trade already. Like we were asking to be moved
Okay.
just because things weren't moving the
Yeah.
direction that we wanted to.
End of the day, you got to do what's best for you and your family. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah.
yeah, but I just wanted to clear that up because a lot of people just always think certain things, and
Right.
but like I said, I got a lot of respect for the people in Buffalo,
Yeah.
Bean and Coach McDermott. Those guys did me a crazy solid, by allowing me to kind of moving me
Yeah.
at that time in the season versus it was literally the last day of the trade deadline, probably like an hour before the trade
Was it
deadline
really?
ended, literally.
Wow.
And they did me a huge solid by making something shake. And those two guys are the ones that drafted me. I always tell guys to when you come into the league, know who drafted you. You know what I mean? Like if it was the coach, right? Because if it's the coach, then
Right.
you might hang around for a bit.
Right.
If it's
Right.
the GM, you're gonna hang around for a bit. If it's offensive coordinators and it can be a little different. But I
Yeah.
knew who drafted me, and that was McDermott and Bean. We always had a great relationship. Them doing me that solid, just talking to them through that whole process on that day was great. And when I found out it was Indy, right? They could have called anywhere and put me in a similar offense,
Yeah.
same thing. But putting me in an offense like that, giving me a chance to go to a team that really prioritizes running the ball.
For sure. Yep. Yep.
Great. But when I got to Indy, so much going on. Frank Wright obviously played in Buffalo.
Yep.
Great guy. But the culture was moving on from him.
Yep.
The same week I got there, they had just fired the offensive coordinator the day before I got there.
Wow.
So I walk into this, and at the time, losing
Welcome to Indy.
record. I'm like, I'm catching up on all this stuff, and I'm trying to learn new teammates.
You're like, yo, who's my coach? Who's my OC?
Yeah, and I'm just sleeping in the hotel for about a couple of weeks. So I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you go from being in Buffalo on a Tuesday to being in Indy on a Wednesday. And
Yeah, it's a roller coaster, man.
Yeah, it's no break, it's no nothing. So you just got to go. But, when I got to Indy, like I said, obviously we had JT. I didn't know anybody really else on the team, mainly outside of just playing those guys before. But, obviously JT had the injury. I think me and JT probably played maybe 2 games when I got traded there, and then he re-injured the ankle versus the Vikings. And, when that happened, I ended up starting the rest of the game, that Vikings game. And, I just kind of just got, pushed into that situation. So that was kind of just a blur, really. But every week after that, I kind of just got back into that mode of where, okay, I'm the starter.
Yep.
The team was relying on me. Even, we weren't winning games at all. I think we won 1 game in that time period. But like I said, it's like, yeah, you want to win, but you also want to put a good product out there.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And I know we had good guys on the team, and, things just didn't click, for whatever reason that year. But, every week I got better and I got more comfortable, and I got back into that player that I know I am and that was in there. And then, I took that momentum, ended up closing that year out with my first 100-yard game in Indy.
Yep.
And closed out that year and just had all that momentum, just kind of just rolling, feeling really good, feeling confident. I have been healthy that whole year, coming into this offseason, healthy again, so I could really train and push my body to where I wanted to be at. So obviously we got new coaches and all that stuff, and then OTAs the guy, Coach Shane coming in from Philly, and it's the same offense. The offense we ran last year
Right.
to this year, it's literally
Right.
the same thing, just the quarterback. So you can
Yeah.
add the RPO style to it, and
Yeah.
it makes the offense way more dynamic, right? So, that was big for me because I'm like, okay, great. And I know he loves to use, more than just one guy. Yes, JT's is the guy, and I mean, damn, if he was on my team and I'm the head coach, I would make him my guy too.
Yeah, yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, it's like it's a no brainer.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I know he's going to use more than one guy. I mean, just the way he did it in Philly, three different guys touching the ball and things like that. And so from that standpoint, I was, still excited and ready to go. And, all this stuff with JT kind of happened, from contract to, pushing back the injury and kind of getting better from there and things of that nature. So I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really try to figure out what's going on and things like that. I just tried to just focus on my job. And, if it came down to it where, I had to do something. At this time, I'm, the number one back in OTAs, number one back in training camp. So I can't dwell over there. I got to worry about, this right here. So, I was able to put together just a good camp, the OTAs. Obviously, I ended up breaking my forearm in training camp.
That was in training camp?
Yeah, the first day of full pass, I ended up breaking my forearm. And, you try to, guys always say, oh, you don't hear the noise, you don't see, things of that nature. But everyone has social media. Even if like some guys, they search their name, some guys they don't.
Yeah.
Some people just tag you in things and you can't not see it.
Yeah.
I remember the news broke for him and people were like, wow, he missed out on opportunities and, yada, yada. But, me, I'm a big believer in Christ and my faith is super strong. Having that happen to me wasn't, something that shook me dramatically as people would assume that it would because you're like,
right.
Oh, man, you just broke his arm. And then obviously I didn't have a lot of the answers at that time. Like, how would I? And I wouldn't have pictured the season going the way it did,
right,
coming off an injury like that. But, God takes us through, our toughest things to bring us through.
No doubt. You seem to have recovered. You seem to have recovered from that injury really fast too. It seemed like it, anyways. I mean, maybe not to you, right?
It was a little tough at the beginning, but the trainers got me right, and just working hard trying to get that thing ready. I knew I was gonna miss maybe 2 games, potentially. I knew I was, obviously the season opener was a no go, but after the season opener, I felt really good, and I just made a lot of progress real quick in a short amount of time in those last 2 weeks, to where I felt good, and I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And obviously, I had broken this arm before, same injury in college, so I knew kind of what padding I wanted,
right,
what I can do, what I can't do, what I feel comfortable doing. Obviously, on a way bigger level, with way better guys.
I mean, if you're gonna break something, it might as well be the same injury, so at least you're familiar with it. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm like, okay, I remember this rehab. I know what I like in rehab. I know what didn't work in rehab. But from that standpoint, things kind of really just went well. I was able to come back week 2, and like I said, we already had a good team. Like I already knew guys. And when I say team, I could really only speak about the offensive side because I don't play defense. But
right.
the offensive line, I knew we had one of the best offensive lines in the league. I mean, I think all of those guys besides maybe 2, and at the right position, you're talking about a left guard, the center, and the right tackle.
They're beefed up for sure. Yeah.
All 3 of those guys were major players. Talking about Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, like Pro Bowl guys, right? And JT had just ran for like 1,800 yards behind us.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not a bad line to come into, man.
Yeah, I'm like, man, if I can't run behind these guys,
I'm hanging up the cleats, right? I'm hanging it up.
It might be bad. We might need to throw them over the power line. But, so going into that, that second game of the year, I already knew what I had. I played with these guys in training camp. Was a little rusty coming back, but just being in camp with them, knowing what I had, playing with them last year, and you add AR to that equation, and what he brings to the table, and how well the guys is kind of gelling on the offensive side in the passing game and things like that, and
it seemed like, and sorry to cut you off again, it seemed like with AR, like the guy seemed to be having fun, right? Like he brought something, I think, you know, and I'm not a super close Indianapolis Colts, you know, I wasn't following them real closely, but throughout the years with Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning, and, you know, but it seems like the last few years, it didn't look like a team that anybody was having a real good time on, you know what I mean? And then this year, like you and everybody, it looked like you were having fun on the football field again. And maybe that's how I read it. You know, every time you'd see highlights or whatever, man, you'd run one in from 6-7 out, and these guys would be just going crazy. And, you know, it seemed like it was fun football again. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think guys did have a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
think just, being pushed the way Coach Shane came in, you know, it's hard to kind of rewrite a lot of the bad stuff that maybe happened in the past. But a lot of these guys have been on this team for, either
Right.
drafted, brought in for 2 or 3 years already. So this was like home, this was their
Yeah.
team. And, when Coach Shane came in, instantly he kind of just made everybody feel stable. Like
Yeah.
this thing felt stable. No one knew if we were going to win 5 games, 10 games. Like no one knew
Yeah.
how many games we were going to win with the roster that was constructed. But we knew we had a good chance because even last year when they brought in Jeff Saturday and everybody was like, "Wow, what's going on?" Like things of that nature. But still inside our building, even with Jeff, guys respected Jeff
Yeah.
because of who he is and how he played the game.
Right.
If you look at those games last year, a lot of those games we weren't getting blown out. We were in those games
Oh, for
with
sure.
a lot of playoff teams. Right?
I think a lot of people thought Saturday was going to stay.
I think so, but I think they definitely made the right decision as getting someone who's been a coach and been around.
That's the thing.
In that way, on time. So with Shane, they definitely got it right. But guys just felt stable. Guys just had fun, and then when you bring AR in, so that's the guy everybody wanted. Everybody in the city wanted to get AR, and when we got him, and then you see him and you see the talent that he has, and I mean, this dude, he has the talent, and I obviously, like I said, I played with Josh, and I know what talent looks like.
Right.
This dude has all the talent.
Yeah,
I like him a
lot. Yeah,
he has a ton of talent, and he was just getting better and better and better week by week. I mean, jump from OTAs to training camp was a big jump for a guy who only had played like 13 games in college, right?
Total. That's all he's played. That's all he played.
All he played was about 13, 15 games.
Oh wow, man! Yeah, I didn't even know that.
So super raw talent, but just the work ethic, like to stay in, get in super early, stay in late, extra meetings. Like this dude was really doing all these things that.
Those are the guys that stand out, man.
Yeah, and he's getting better. So I mean, I'm super excited. When he gets back next year to see that offense and what it really looks like.
Let's get to some fun parts here to this interview, man. I mean, I could sit and talk to you forever, but I'm sure you got some other stuff to do. Congrats on the family too. Are you having another baby? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, we are.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome. I have 3 boys, and there's nothing like it in the world, as far as fatherhood goes. So it's really. Now, are you a hip hop fan at all?
I am. Yeah.
All right, so I gotta ask, man. I'm gonna start throwing some curveballs into these interviews a little bit. You got Biggie in your top 10?
I think I would put him top 10. Mind you, my hip hop, doesn't go back as far as the 80s. So.
Yeah, I always forget you guys are so young, dude. Like you're so young, man.
I got a lot of respect for a lot of those guys. Obviously, I just can't. I think guys like Rakim and those type of names in the late 80s and early 90s. It's kind of hard for me to say those are my top 10, but I think you have to respect the work they did just because it kind of laid.
Who you like right now? Who's the hottest out right now?
Hottest out right now, J. Cole is my favorite rapper right now. I think Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and then you kind of can just open it up after that because a lot of those other guys is kind of like, and then they're all really good in their own right. I like Benny. I like Benny. I met Benny a few times. Met Conway a few times.
Yeah. Oh man, they are such crazy Bills fans. Like they're nuts.
Yeah. So I respect their grind. I think I definitely listen to Benny. Definitely listened to his last 2 albums. He just dropped a new album. So like I said, definitely respect their grind, things like that. So Benny's definitely real good. I listen to Benny quite a bit. Probably definitely more than the other two guys. But,
Yeah.
that's just
They're
my
all
style.
doing big things right now, man. I gotta ask you. So I order a pizza, right? We're gonna order a pizza tonight. You going olives or mushrooms or neither?
Either.
Neither. All right. What are you going with on your pizza?
That's pepperoni for me, man.
See, that's where I'm at now too, man. I don't like all the other stuff on it. I like the burnt, cupped up burnt pepperonis. Buffalo does it right with pizza, right?
Now they do. They do. They definitely do. The
What was your
pizza and
favorite? I gotta ask you, man. What was your favorite chicken wing joint when you were in Buffalo?
Barville,
Okay.
without a doubt.
All right. Shout out to
Barville.
Bar Bills. Although Elmo's is my sponsor, man. They sponsor the show. You ever have those?
I've been to Elmo's. Yeah, I've been to Elmo's, but I
So
always kind of just went to Barville because that's mainly where
yeah.
the guys I hung with mostly.
Yeah, and it's easy, it's close. Like I got to travel a little bit for Elmo's, but I think it's worth it. I took Stevie Johnson there last time he was in town, man, and those things you got to order them the right way. When you're back in Buffalo, if you come to see Nolan or whatever, you got to get the Cajun double dip Cajun, and they're just you can't touch them, bro. You can't touch them.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take that out.
I'll take you out for sure. If somebody turns the radio on, you going forget the hip hop because we know you like that and I like that. You going rock or you going country?
So,
Or are you just turning the radio? Are you turning the radio off?
I don't listen to neither one, but I would have to go country, just because I'm more mellow, I guess. So I think country is a little bit more mellow than rock.
You know what, man? You're a cool dude, and you have this laid back, chill personality. And then I see you out on the football field just beating people up, and it's like, man, it's like I don't want to get this guy angry, man. He's like Hulk comes out. I got Freddie Jackson tomorrow morning. I'm doing, and they used to call him the Hulk. And like. He didn't run anything like you. He knew how to run. Don't get me wrong, but man, I'm telling you, I love watching you run. It's like I say a bulldog or like a compact Derrick Henry, just going out and just barreling people over, man. This was a lot of fun. I can't thank you enough, Zach, for coming on and spending some time with me.
I mean, just appreciate you allowing me to come on your platform.
Absolutely.
Time and chop it up. I always love trying to do as many podcasts as I can. And,
awesome. Love it, man. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun, man. So good luck wherever you end up, whatever you do, wherever you go, man. Good luck. Nothing but the best to you. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, my man.
Take care, man.